Was a girl running in our group. She had a high-speed motor in a 40 Ford coupe. She had a racing cam and a supercharged. Look at Buddy, hot rod and large. She's a hot rod. She's a hot rod.
Tesla. My buddy Elon is in the news again. Boy, oh boy. He's my pal. South Korean police are examining a Tesla electric car after its driver told police it went out of control and crashed into a wall, killing a passenger and injuring 2 other people in the damn car. Wow. The Model X smashed into the wall and caught fire in the parking lot of a Seoul apartment building late on Wednesday, police said. This last Wednesday. It took about an hour to put out the fire. I'm telling you, these electric car fires, Eric, this is different. It's a whole new ballgame. I can't find a fireman that wants to talk about it. South Korea's forensic agency will investigate the car to identify the cause of the accident, police said. They're not going to let Elon do it, because he'll tell you it was because the guy threw matches at him or something. That's how Tesla handles their comebacks, their problems, everything. They cover it up. They sweep it over. The automaker is under investigation by South Korea's Transport Ministry over its autopilot functions, the ministry said earlier this year. I'm telling you, that autopilot, they made them quit using that. They made them disable it. In January, the U.S. National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, NHTSA, said it would review a petition asking the agency to formally investigate and recall 500,000 Tesla vehicles over sudden unintended acceleration. The petition, it says, covers 2012 through 2019 model years, Tesla Model S cars. And yeah, it goes all the way from 2012 to 2019. All Tesla models are covered. Has unintended acceleration. I don't know, Eric might not remember, but I remember back doing a story on the Toyotas, and Toyota and Lexus that were accelerating all by themselves. Nothing but trouble, let me just tell you. And they lied. Oh my God, they lied. First they told you it was a little plastic clip. Well, that wasn't right. Then they said it was the floor mats. No, that wasn't right. Then they said they had this problem with a certain lever if you brought it in. Well, while you had it in, they did the very thing that I told you listeners 10 years ago. Well, maybe about 8 years ago when that happened. This is a software problem. This is a software glitch. Sure enough, people were bringing it in for this fix on this acceleration and finding out that their computer had been reprogrammed, had been redone. Huh. Well, you didn't say anything about that in your recall. Well, no, we weren't about to admit it is the deal, okay? You know, the car companies, sometimes as much as you trust them, you shouldn't, believe me. All right, Chicago Auto Show. You know I go to that every year. It's a lot of fun. It's my idea of a good time. Well, it won't take place in February again because of the COVID-19 pandemic. But organizers are aiming for a spring event, though dates have not been finalized. Can you imagine there's going to be every major city is going to have a car show in the same month? It's going to be crazy. At this point, with the recent increase in COVID-19 cases, it doesn't look like February is realistic, said Mark Billick, who, by the way, is our contact at the Chicago Auto Show. He's my friend. Senior Director of Communications and Technology for the Chicago Auto Show. Great guy. So we wanted to make sure that we let people know that we're still very excited about trying to have a show in spring of 2021. At some point, be it in March, April, or May, said Billick. So they're coming. It's going to happen. Let's see what it says on the back side of this. Billick said the auto show, one of the biggest in North America, and Chicago is huge, particularly with consumers, has been working with health departments from both the city of Chicago and the state of Illinois. Oh boy, he's working with Pritzker and what's her name, Lori Lightfoot. Oh my God. Oh no. From both the city of Chicago and state of Illinois to determine when it can hold the event. They don't know when they're going to do that.
You know, to have the auto show we need to have it. right? Obviously, I think it's always a good time, like you said. It's one of the events that you look for every year, right? And to have it at least in March, April, May, it's better than not having it at all.
Well, yeah, and I tell you what, Eric, they sell a lot of cars.
They do.
Thanks to the auto show.
Yes.
They move a ton of cars, and they know that. This is where people come to shop and look around and sit in the car and hear about all the different goodies the car's got on it, the things that it does.
Mm-hmm.
I had an old friend of mine in the shop the other day with his car, and he wanted to make a run down the street to get something. I said, well, take my car. He came back. He goes, oh, my God, how do you drive that thing? I said, what are you talking about? He says, oh, it's got beeps and boops and bobs. It won't let you change lanes. It won't let you do anything. Well, it doesn't want you to crash, man. That's the whole idea.
That's the whole idea.
But, again, with that kind of control, guess what that comes with? That comes with Big Brother over your shoulder. And he's right there. Just take a look when you're driving. Look over your shoulder. Say, there's a little guy watching you every move you make. I'm telling you, it's just not the same. It's not going to be the same, and it's never going to go backwards. So trust me. Speaking of auto shows and different things, Lincoln and the Mini is their own, Mini Cooper. They're their own brand, but they're BMW. They're made by BMW. Lincoln and Mini Cooper topped the J.D. Power Sales Satisfaction Index. That's the first, believe me. Lincoln claimed the top spot in the 2020 for the first solo win in the highest scoring luxury brand in the J.D. Power U.S. Sales Satisfaction Index study released last week. It turns out that Mini, because Lincoln won in the luxury division, and Mini ranked highest among the mass market brands. Believe it or not, it replaced Buick in the top spot. Mini has ranked in the top 3 since 2010, so they've been up there. The market the trends are crazy. Of the luxury brands, and I have them all here, it goes all the way down. The very bottom one is Tesla. The top 4, Lincoln, I just told you, Lexus, Mercedes-Benz, and Cadillac.
Not surprising.
No, there's 4 of the finest. And then after that is Infiniti and Porsche, the regular cars. But the big boys are up there is Lincoln, Lexus, Mercedes, and Cadillac. That's of the luxury cars.
Is Infiniti in the top 5?
Infiniti is number 5.
Oh, nice.
So Infiniti is a good car. It's not a bad car at all.
No, it really isn't.
No. And now, in the mass market brands, in other words, just your everyday go get a car, most dependable, Mini Cooper is number 1. I told you that. Behind it is GMC, Buick, Ford, and Subaru. Don't confuse GMC and GM. There's a difference.
There is.
That's a huge difference. And you're going to hear about it later because GM and GMC and General Motors are differing on electric car platforms and how they're going to run them. So this is the way it's got to be.
I'm surprised not like the Chevys or anything's not in the top. I mean, obviously they're going to be in the top 10, but top 5, at least top 5.
We talked about this earlier on, and I told you this was going to happen. Ally Financial Group, one of the largest auto lenders, said car makers should get busy. There's enough consumer demand for manufacturers to ramp up output of new models, but not enough supply, CEO Jeffrey Brown told investors at a conference on Tuesday. They're hurting for parts. Factories have to get back to work, Brown said, noting he's been in discussions with Rick Hendrick of the Hendrick Automotive Group, and which has 95 dealership locations across the country. When I walk into his stores directly, they tell me the biggest challenge is the lack of new car inventory. The factories aren't producing enough vehicles. They just don't have enough vehicles for sale. Automakers have been stretched thin by pandemic-related absenteeism, distancing protocols, quarantines, and supply chain constraints. All this combined with 2-month shutdown last spring, of course, due to the virus, has made it difficult for factories to rebound and get the consumer demand down because they just, even if they have their factory up and running and flying, they don't have the parts. There's no parts. So it doesn't matter how busy you are. You can't put them together without all the parts. All right, we got to keep talking about all this car stuff that we got going here. This is crazy. I told you, about a week ago, 2 weeks ago, about Cadillac and is a little iffy with their electric brand and the electric part or version of the car show, okay, of their deal. And it's all coming to fruition now. It really is. Nearly 1 in 5 Cadillac dealers in the United States reportedly have decided to quit the brand rather than make the costly upgrades to sell and service electric vehicles. They're not going to put out the money. The dealers aren't. They just said that's enough. I'm not going to do it. A Cadillac spokesman would not confirm how many of the brand's 880 dealers, Cadillac has 880 dealers, accepted the buyout offers first reported by Automotive News last month. Dealers had until November 30th to decide on the offers, which generally range from $300,000 to more than $500,000. $500,000 was the figure I gave you guys 2 weeks ago, because that's what I was told. I have to check my sources; they're not telling me everything. General Motors is requiring dealers who stay with Cadillac to spend at least $200,000 on chargers, tooling, and training in order to sell the electric vehicles being rolled out starting in next year, 2022. Cadillac expects to sell only electric vehicles by 2030. There you go, Eric. And it feels the market is ready. Cadillac said it would launch the Cadillac's first full electric vehicle, the Lyric, in early 2022, 9 months sooner than previously planned. So it's going to be an early baby. Cadillac's having an early baby. And a lot of the Cadillac dealers said, hey, we can't afford it. It's $200,000 to $300,000 or better to stay and be an electric Cadillac dealer. Jeez, oh Pete, man. It's big dough. It's just huge dough. Well, here's another side of the story. GMC will not extend the buyout offers to dealers who are reluctant to sell electric vehicles, GMC said Tuesday. Now, that's not General Motors. That's not Cadillac. This is GMC now. We will not be going down a similar strategy as Cadillac, said Duncan Aldred, vice president of a global Buick and GMC. About 17% of Cadillac dealers accepted buyout offers last month, most ranging from $300,000 to upwards of $500,000, as Cadillac plans for its all-electric lineup by the end of the decade. And it's going that route. Well, GMC's electrification rollout will take longer. About half of the GMC dealers have agreed to sell the 2022 Hummer pickup and will update their facilities to sell and service electric vehicles. Aldred has said this. Dealers who sell the Hummer must sign an optional participation agreement. The Hummer right now is going through its validation testing at General Motors' Milford Proving Grounds in Michigan, and soon will head to northern Michigan for winter testing. Aldred said, up in the northern peninsula. Gets a little hairy up there, Eric. Let me just tell you, the northern peninsula. Hello. Gets a little hairy up there. Reservations for the first edition of the Hummer pickup, which will launch in the fall of 2021, that's coming up. They filled up in only 10 minutes after the vehicle was unveiled. So you can't buy a 2021 Hummer because they're all sold out. They were sold out in the first 10 minutes after they went on the market.
I think a couple of weeks ago, or probably like a month ago, don't remember, we were talking about how the Hummer looks as an electric vehicle itself, and we both kind of agreed, kind of didn't look all that great.
I think it's ugly.
And then we were talking about the price. I was talking about the price to it too as well. And for it to be sold out in 10 minutes, it probably says a lot about how people either A, they want an electric Hummer, B, they just want a Hummer, or C, they really don't care.
Well, I did a report about 2 weeks ago again on J.D. Power talking to people about their cars and electric cars and so forth, saying that some people just aren't ready for them. Yeah, we're going to wait a while. I don't think you're going to have a choice, Eric. This is what I keep preaching. It's going to come to a point where you're going to walk into a dealer and there's going to be one internal combustion engine and it's going to be or a vehicle, and you're going to have to order it, or you can buy any one of these electric vehicles. I think that's the way it's going. I mean, and who's to say they can't do that?
I mean, at the end of the day, I think they're doing these electric vehicles because they want the whole going green type thing, quote unquote, right?
I agree.
And to protect what we have and what we live in, and I can see that being into the future, right? I just don't. They never expect it to be like right now.
No,
future.
I've got a couple stories here. If we get to them this week, we will talk about them. But otherwise, I'll do it next week. But about fuel cell,
teaser,
hydrogen,
okay,
and Toyota is really banking on it. I mean, really. Just FYI, guys, Uber is asking the CDC, that's the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, to designate the ride-hail delivery drivers as non-health essential workers entitled to early COVID-19 vaccination distribution. In other words, there's only going to be so many vaccines put out, and they're going to go with the essential people, and then Uber is petitioning the CDC to get their people, their drivers, immunized. And I guess, you know what? Well, here, the company, in a letter to the CDC's Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices, said its drivers provided critical transportation for essential workers and allowed others to stay home and order food. Easy access to the vaccine would help drivers and delivery people continue to play their essential role while reducing the risk that they may have inadvertently contacted or possibly transmitted the virus, said the letter. The letter is signed by Uber's head of federal affairs, Danielle Burr. Well, Danielle, I guess you probably have a point there. I would call you guys essential. I mean, I actually would. I don't know how essential. I don't know the exact way I would make you essential, but I believe you're essential. I don't know. I got to look at it from a couple different ways to make sure that what I'm looking at is not what I'm thinking it is, because otherwise I would think it's just like all the taxi cab drivers, they get all the first shots. Let's face it. These shots are going to be a high commodity. They're going to be expensive. Somebody's going to be making a whole bunch of money off of this game. But CDC, if they will classify Ubers as essential and necessary, they will get a first crack at the new vaccine. So we'll see what happens.